Well, today we have two wonderful poets who are gifted and are with us this afternoon. Ayaz Pirani, who's making a return appearance with us, and LEONORE WILSON, who's having a debut performance with us. They're going to read, each of them, for 20 to 30 minutes or so. And I would invite you then to sit back, if you've got a glass of wine, if it's not too early in the day for you, or a cup of coffee or whatever, or a snack. Enjoy this community that we have of wonderful poets giving us their fine poetry. We're in for a great afternoon. Ayaz's books do include Happy You Are Here, Kabir's Jacket Has 1,000 Pockets, and Bachelor of Art. His work recently appeared in Arc Poetry Magazine, the Antigonish Review, and Guest 16. His new book is How Beautiful People Are, and is available from Gordon Hill Press.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's very kind of you. I'm glad to be back. I wish that we were in person, actually. I know that Zoom sometimes allows more people to attend, and it does, it's important in a lot of ways, but I do miss being in person with you. So I thought I would basically read from my latest book, which is right here. It's called How Beautiful People Are, and it's from Gordon Hill Press. It just came out a few months ago, with one or two poems from my other books once in a while. So anyways, there's no space for grief. Potted plant people talk their quota, and friends wave without using their arms. I make my dictionary face. If something is said, I snap like a flag, then flag like an adjournment. I'm in the room, but as the broom. And nutgels. Like the leaf curl as the bee wing. Better an alibi of birds than congregating with stars. Fall for the held breath in warm stone or a plain-spoken door. Love may not be straight or forward like a shirt buttons, as decided as water come to boil. So this next one is called Ali's Tiger, and it comes in 3 parts. And I just want to say that in one of my first languages, I always thought that people were saying Ali's tiger, like, Hazrat Ali had a tiger. But actually what they were saying later in life, I realized, was that he was a tiger, a fierce gentleman. But anyways, I didn't know any better. So this is called Ali's Tiger. 1. My language is abridged, thin like a Bible's paper. I'm trying to print, but not be two-sided. Kiss me the way a plane skids. It'll be like horses in the garden. Imagine one broom holding another broom, or the historical disadvantage of 2 grains of sand. 2. How many leaves in the forest? How many men's suits in the city? There's no end to the tangles in a guru's beard. Ali's tiger won't let you count its stripes. You might as well interrogate the wave. While most words curl like leaves, I know a few the ear doesn't hear. Are you done shaking hands with thin ice, kissing snowdrift to snowdrift? 3. Imagine a drawer of ornithology. Long arms, some words. So another name, yeah, another name for Ali is Nakalanki in Indo-Pak languages, and it means the same thing as if you say Nakalanki, you're basically referring to Ali. But Nakalanki translated means spotless one, you know. Anyways, this poem is called Nakalanki. And it's about going to see my wife's home as a child, you know, her childhood home. Anyways, Nakalanki. I went to the house where you were born, and it was filled with birdsong. The rains came down and purified nothing. Some birds cried like cats prowl. Now when we ask for memory, we end up with a pile of men's suits. I thought you said 3rd floor, Muhammad Ali, Karachi, but it looks more like Nakalanki's navel. The face of a rock-dashed hope, the swagger of interrogated nostalgia. You made it out of the burning building. From its touches, you were born. So this next poem is it's addressed to both my grandmother, who's passed away, my grandmother and her dog at the same time. You know, so it's called Poem for My Grandmother and Her Dog. She built a home from dung. She buried cat placenta. She won't lie down wherever you put her. She's unlikely to bend from tradition's pinch. After so many years off Eglinton, she'll brook no guff, won't comfort crooked. Her best lines are one syllable. So anyways, thanks for putting up with me. So I thought I'd read 1 or 2 poems from my second book, which is Kabir's Jacket Has 1,000 Pockets. It came out from Mowenzi House in 2019. I'd like to read a poem called African Masks. And you could, I'm sure that in some ways you can relate to when as a child, you're taken with your classmates to a museum for the first time. And when you grow up in Ontario, the museum that you're taken to is usually the Royal Ontario Museum, or ROM, you know, which was actually built when I was a child, it was being built. So this poem is called African Masks, and it takes place in a museum. African Masks. As a kid, I'd hate to lose my way to the drawers of ornithology or African masks. I didn't fancy the mesa blankets and said no to all the walks of tears, of fears, of hunger. Best was to find myself in the ice cream shop or gift shop, the white people's diorama, in which they do not disappear from the earth. I still don't like pinned butterflies and pieces of petrified forest you take home in your pockets. I don't need to see the sunken treasure brought to dry land. If there's a gem on the Queen of England's crown that I know belongs to my bride, you won't see me just reach out and take it. Yeah. So I'll read the first poem from the book, Kabir's Jacket also. When I say my name, people act like I've handed them fire, or a baby they've got to say something about now that it's in their arms. They didn't know my planet was there the whole time, behind the curtain like stabbed Polonius. I fell off a cliff when I decided to be born among strangers. Now I lie on the ageless beach like a heartthrob. It took centuries to stop thinking about things I never got to lose. They were already gone before I'd noticed. They weren't there to be lost. I'm trying so hard to discover or rediscover an undiscovered country. Who can blame me for fascinating the birds as I walk through the forest? So I'll go back to my latest book, How Beautiful People Are, for just a couple of poems, if you don't mind. This one is dear to my heart, and it's basically, it's an RSVP, you know, when you get invited to a party. But I always wanted to respond to RSVPs with like a letter, like in long form, you know, with a letter and sort of. And lately I'd wanted to write a POC RSVP, you know, a people of color, répondez s'il vous plaît, you know. And so this poem is called POC RSVP. At the party, I'd like to be a person of interest, but will end up a person of color. Instead of agency, I'll get stuck with adjacency. I worship in gutters, dust ignores me. Imagine the roar of a lion's mouth or a perch on the rim of Ngorongoro. I'm not coming to greet your waves. I won't dance broom to broom. Don't ask me to breathe fire or starve a child. I'm not shaking hands with your wilted roses or standing two-headed like scissors. I'd rather retreat at the first balloon's pop. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess I got that off my chest, you know. Just a couple of more. This poem is called White City, Kid Tropic. And the white and the tropic are in parentheses. So White City, Kid Tropic. And it comes in 7 parts and they're very short, you know. So White City, Kid Tropic. 1. An army of blow dryers has left the city unbuttoned. The mayor called for a congregation of birds and got a pile of men's suits. 2. Figures are bleak. Rich people are losing money. Poor people are losing people. Once in skyscrapers, the steak eaters now eat street urchins. 3. I'm alone with mango pickle and Lata's Lata. I'm done shaking hands with thin ice, kissing snowdrift to snowdrift. 4. I've lost track of the garden. No one breaks up with doubt. 5. My ancestors aren't talking. There's just piles of piles, men's suits, a car forest. Good morning, snowdrift. How's thin ice? My friendships are room specific. I teach my young chairs and my office plants listen to their foghorns. People are shaped by glass rectangles and halved by ajar doors. Winter flakes off in the hallway. It's easy to ignore the cornered lamp. 6. In and out of buildings, in and out of books, in and out of countries. When will this broom get its own broom? When is maximum? 7. Let down by the automatically locked door, I thump the obscuring glass. My jacket doesn't need my grief unbuttoning. I'm crushed by the white outside and rue geese downhill. Not stitched to this place or any place. There's no road to my village. One more from this book, and then if you don't mind, I'll close with just one poem from my first book. So it's the title poem. It's called "How Beautiful People Are." How beautiful people are. It's a wonder how beautiful people are. They are in themselves like the shade or the sun or the moonlight that makes a regular person briefly how beautiful people are. Though you wonder just how beautiful people are, what do they crave and who fulfills them? What if they're crying and we've all been ignoring how beautiful people are? And I'll read just one poem from the first book. Sometimes it's either a love affair or you're embarrassed by the first. I think it's holding up. Anyways, I just want to read one poem. The title poem, as a way of saying, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being here. I look forward to us meeting in person. Anyways, it's the title poem from the book. It's called "Happy You Are Here." And if I may say, the Arroyo Seco, of course, in South Monterey County, and Max was our previous dog. Never forgotten. Anyways, happy you are here. Hold to the light the stained glass we found walking Max in the oak woods of Arroyo Seco. You too want to learn the fragment's provenance. This nosiness makes me glad for both of us, for all things on earth that get their noses into the piles of mystery the makers created. I'm so happy you are here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayaz. That was
Thank you.
wonderful. It was just great. I was struck by Well, your imagery is incredible, and we're happy that you are here. And thank you for sharing with us. You've got you're searching. You have themes of searching in your poetry that resonate, at least with me. And I like the fact that you have agency. You don't have adjacency. And you manifest that agency in what you shared with us today. And I can imagine when you do say your name to people, they sometimes do act as if you've handed them fire, which is a beautiful image. And I was intrigued by three things that appeared in more than one of your poems: men's suits, thin ice, and snowdrift to snowdrift. There's a continuity that those three images present to us, and it's just wonderful what you shared with us. There perhaps is no road to your village, but you did lay out for us a bit of a roadmap on how to get to your heart and what you were sharing, and you're noting how beautiful people are, but what's really inside the beautiful people. It was very well done. So thank you. And I can imagine how you would fascinate the birds as you walk through the forest. You fascinated us today, and it was wonderful to have you with us. Thanks for coming back, and we look forward to a return engagement at some point down the road. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Indeed, Ayaz, an engagement in person, where we're no longer like people in separate spaceships communicating electronically. In person would be wonderful. Thank you. Okay, well, we're on a roll here, moving to our next poet, Leonore Wilson. She's a teacher up in the Napa Valley and has taught in various colleges and universities in the Greater Bay Area. She's on the MFA board at St. Mary's College. Her work has been featured in Quarterly West, Third Coast, Rattle, Terrain, Madison Review, Vox Populi, Trivia, Voices of Feminism, Unruly Catholic Women Writers. And I guess, would you call yourself an unruly Catholic woman writer, Leonore? Perhaps, huh?
Perhaps. I wouldn't consider myself Catholic.
Okay.
Where's the husband?
Maybe Catholic with a lower.
Gnostic, or well, I'll talk about myth in a minute.
Okay, great. Leonore lived on her 100-acre family, 100-year-old, family cattle ranch for decades up in the Napa Valley area until the LNU fire destroyed her family home and most of her acreage. She's trying to adjust to living in town now, and her newest writing is about this tragedy. And I hope, Leonore, you will share some of that with us as we enjoy your poetry this afternoon. So, Leonore, over to you, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I'm so honored. And the previous reader, I am just blown away. I'm speechless. I think of the best poet I've ever read with. So, and I have to thank Kent here. Gem of a poet, gem of a critic, gem of a friend. I met decades ago, right? I was in Boston to my great aunt's 100th birthday, and I was in a hotel with my family, and this very nice man comes up and serves tea. And my mother goes, "Oh, was it?" My mother goes, "Now, are you from Boston or something?" He goes, "Oh, no, I'm going to Emerson College. I'm getting my degree in creative writing, poetry, and poetry." And of course, then we had our chat, and forever friend. After that, no one like this person, I have to say, as far as poetry critic, just gentle soul. So who has seen probably all my poems since I met him and has given me such good advice. And even this new manuscript that is probably the most difficult thing I've ever written. He has given me just wonderful critiques. This chapbook is still coming together. It could be a book. I don't, I feel like I want to write about other things, but I keep on going back. And the fire was devastating, and almost everything was gone. Of 42 years of living in the house my husband built, and all the photographs of my kids and everything. And they're taking it still pretty hard. They're basically in their young 40s. So, and as Ken said, there was an article in The Guardian. My son's a photojournalist and did a long article and the photography about what we lost right after. And I'm so honored he did that. Anyway, since whenever I go through very difficult times in my life, I will say that for me, myth is more important, and the gods are more important than a god. Like I was raised Catholic. I can't, I just don't feel that my spirit can talk to him or feel an affinity with him. So this poem, and I also love to read, particularly the Aeneid over and over. I have more connection to Virgil because mostly Italian and Sicilian. So they say, Troy was maybe Sicily. So the title is My Troy. And I dedicate it to my professor at Davis, Sandra McPherson, who has been there for me and very kind. If I mispronounce some words, I'm deeply sorry. My mouth is dry. Is that a good excuse? My Troy. Fire of all things is the judge and ravisher. Heraclitus fragments. Perfumera, the gods called it. First fragrance, and it was speech to them, fine ephemeral whispering, saying, the lightning seems like a string of words in search of meaning. Dark mountain in the quiet hour of dusk we left, slept next to the corral in the sedan, loaded with quilts, blankets, pillows, paintings, pets, bags of photos, memorabilia. Under the 300-year-old oak that had watched the cattle for a century come and go. And the cowboy that day of fire found every calf and cow, even the pair that huddled in the creek bed as we huddled in our seats, tried to sleep as flames edged nearer, higher, and the next day the giant limbs fell right there after our departure. Each atom had done its work, made the world complete and rested. But where is the evidence now of where I lived, where I said, mine, my own, and meant it? Where is the rocking chair, rocking back my heart's thunk thunk, where for months I nursed my sons? Now I'm an immigrant wandering in space, not knowing if happiness is a fable or a lie. Maybe it's better to sleep in Hades than pay this penance. Like Hecuba, I stood before the god of fire. paralyzed, confused, moved my lips to speak, but not one word escaped. Oh, oil sheen black pastures, black as buzzards are black, those funeral birds, where yellow tar weed grew indelibly each August, the golden cloth of it. The child's violin left behind, but not my husband's mother's cello. Like her body died too early, that heavy cross was carried out. Tumbleweed of coiled bed springs from the bridal chamber, the sheer curtains hung on the kitchen window that overlooked the blue intensity of rosemary, drifting birthday roses, reduced to petal shards. Remember the Russian poets read at evening, now gray flakes of pages, a gross unsettling, like a sudden shifting of tectonic plates. This inferno makes me wonder if the 40 years plus betrothed was merely a metaphor, a symbol, but of what? And the children with their attic full of keepsakes, trains and tracks, rattlers and jumpers. Maybe I didn't press my husband's work shirts, learn to sort and knot his ties. Maybe I didn't bake the morning bread and watch it rise, planted, watered, chopped the garden vegetables for soups. Oh, God of Gnosis, in all this studied rubble, where's the proof? And the poppies like druid prophets of the gullies, and willows and cottonwoods, blackberry thickets over the creek bed, ripe fruit in summer months, pale song of sky dogs, migrating flocks of winter crane, gallop of unbroken horse, skulls of bulls among the quartz, winds that blew, hot August Diablo winds, and shadows pass through us like thoughts, which space is thinking. And ashes of the dead whirled, swirled like autumn leaves, but it was not autumn. Boy breath in the canyons, released and given back, and orioles barely audible in the dilution of evening. And I saw fire wrap like a body round stiff stripped trees, dismembered, suicidal suddenly, as if the Maenads had torn Pentheus limb from limb. Heart heavy as the gravity of Manzanita, heart in the cavity of the body, battened down by loneliness, and still it beats. What quality of mercy was measured in those final moments before the fire's guillotine? Behind me now, blue antiphon of hills, white-faced cattle in the open meadows, receding streams like blunted legends. Wander too far from home and you become a stranger to yourself, my mother told me once. And last night in the celestial heat, I had no words to wield as the owls of Ceres called, a soft diminuendo of, oh daughter, daughter, daughter. Where is home now that fire took the roof, lifted up like a turtle shell, and threw it down to eat the meat? Fire that cracked the masonry, stole the gilt-legged table, maple hutch and maple cradle. Fire that bent the piano into a drunken shape and snatched the phonograph, rotating cylinder. Pastoral Laurel's fragrance and refrain. immolating the music box, wedding album, and crystal dishes. Again, I will mention the piano, on which Bach was played, Rachmaninoff and Chopin, and on its wax smooth lid, icons of the Magdalene, stone angels, and blue vintage tones of Rembrandt paintings. Again, lightning came and went like a baby's quickening in the womb. And there was nothing we could do but watch the bloody flames crawl up slope like pitching waves through canopies. Oh, scalded light, dragon thief, murdered pleats of wild irises and wild lilies, sacred mantelpieces, leather coats, cotton dresses, rose-chipped dishes, bone-white crockery, all reduced to riddled grit. Children's diplomas, baseball trophies, waiting to be bulldozed. Oh, ranch, ancestral home, hand built, feeding ground of fat ticked does and flea nipped fawns. One sapient earth gone, where morning sparrows and solitary robins listened with their wild decollete of voices. Flame says, why can't you bear this loneliness I brought, sweetheart? Flame says, why fear the wind? Flame says, why hear the threat of me everywhere? The flower does not fear, bird, insect, amphibian, or adder. Doesn't the smoke scent of the burnt earth make them say, I am awake? Sorry. What is it you still remember? What is it of my touch that makes you shiver? Yes, the summer grasses of wheat, barley, oats, the clover, withered within an hour. And you say your future too, with its mighty wings, its mystery. Flame says, give me one word that speaks of joy. Why count yourself among the dead? Are those ashes in your hand, my love? Why hold them up like an epigraph? See, I kept the rock pool cool for you, and the dragonfly still courts the leaf. Why am I a splinter in your side, my bride? Didn't mortal love more than once abandon you? Flame says, oh, my queen, I am your constant. Please forgive me more than once if I have given pain. Why did we believe each and every season the monthly moon would pull its spot of flimsy wool across the sky? Oh, Delphic laurel, lysum willow, the smutty August smoke grew thick and Phaethon steeds veered left and right. The golden chariot fell like the towers of Troy and scorched the earth, so the gods of the underworld awakened and said, children of earth, suffering does not choose. Be glad, not disappointed. The fire knocked at the citadel, the tower wanted to be let in like an unhitched animal's, a sad old mare galloping under the shapelessness of heaven. Oh, when will the thrush call again over the combine's thrash in the summer hayfield? How long will we remember the horizon's flash, sealing the blue hills, a heart of ice vermilion? Aren't the gods unkind, altering space so nothing stays right? And darkness, more darkness is always arriving. Where there is estrangement, there is little peace. This Persephone knew, her lamentation held down in the corridors of wilderness. The house burned, leave it at that. For isn't the best thing in life to leave behind Absolutely nothing. Barbed wire dragging on the ground like a severed umbilical. And my neighbor took her life where swallowtails alighted like a miracle. Embers entered the chimney's chamber, Sarah Barris, but of this conundrum you already knew. Remember when the steeds of madness robbed your slumber and you tossed, turned, with rancor wrestling inside you, and frenzies thoughts gathered in your head, a blizzard mounting on a windy day in April. Then white flakes showered steadily, and you had no poet guide, no Virgil, no prickly promise of high glory, no teenage Beatrice in your heart space anticipating. Climb the narrow cliffs with me. The path zigzags like the boundless scow of the Aegean. See the ragged fields where the even tide of cattle grazed. See the tall ghost digger pines where hawks and eagles knitted nest of bark and twigs. Here, under the bowered sky, the sweetness of 1,000 odors fused. Time to come, my son. It's not too late to weep. Lightning like a throat severed by a knife, and thunder without moisture, as orange flames converged and multiplied in the twilight of the heavens. And one good God parted into the coldness of his eye. Misfortunes a spook mare's pace over the pasture, scarring our ancestral acreage, sundering the song of sparrow, the robin's dawn doggerel. Away with time and space, no one came to aid us, and the wind reeked for days of soot decay as the fire rose and rose, gutted cabinet files rife with text and testaments, our treasured married young certificate. Oh, husband, we had our heaven. Now we know the depths of hell. We are ghosts receding like bees and monarchs that fed on purple lupin, larkspur, and bredea. Vaporous mornings, evenings already starting my longing for you, indescribable. Poet, forgive the streak of bluish white that ripped the sky in two. For haven't you split your written drafts in half and half again and flung them from the vengeance of your hands? Didn't the phoenix scowl on suffering and Narcissus spasm to a flower? Remember how you found your high school photograph with a tear like a granite crack after a quake? And didn't you forgive your mother's rage because of her mother and her mother? Is the human soul immortal? Was Dionysus dismembered and devoured, and Zeus's retribution to destroy the Titans? Hiss, says a feathery tongue of flame, as a golden druze of sap sizzles pours down the sister oaks. Beauty's slippage down the arced boughs, downward and again. Upward, a godlike awakening, a Daphne stepping into, and hiss, flowing hiss, like the native snakes of California, of the beatific golden west. Oh, how they want to slither back to the land's immeasurable inferno. If not, they know to strike out at every heft or pick or shovel. Imagine whole pastures covered with their S's, and not one vulture flings his open wings to claim them. And haven't you tossed your fist of poems inside the wood stove? And haven't you laid dry branches down and lit the little pyre? And closed iron doors and watched the windows golden gleam? And didn't the alchemy pause and seem to enter you as matter joins spirit and spirit bends to fire? And didn't you breathe in the white smoke escaping into the blue heavens as a child enters the physical world, its living soul crying out with no thought of place or origin? Home is a handful of slow wounds. And my thoughts are winter doves when they spot a red-tailed hawk and suddenly turn their backs in flight. Do you ever imagine what it's like to be me, Prometheus, clamped to a rock, enduring the end of the world, where the night is cold, the sun hot? Helen, daughter of a swan, how do you stop memory from becoming history? You who are driven from your homeland, Sparta. What cup of bitters changed your heart to wine? And Hecuba, you were forced to leave, weren't you? Quicker than the sky of peace. Troy was aflamed with the scent of candles, scent of centuries, and the world swayed under the arc of stars. How many times have women like you stared into the blue light of fire and seen their mouths emptied of words? My 100-year-old tub burned to nothing but a set of ugly iron claws. Deep trough where decades and decades before me bathed their limbs. Oh, white fairy, Charon's skiff, you floated into the grandeur of the unknown, into the open bowels of hell itself, and nothing could rebuke the squall, the river of lightning over Styx. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, beloved, we can't think of. The always forward pointing, now directionless. If only one did not have memories, memories, memories of lying still and taking comfort, memories. If only one had nothing but memories, not a thought about tomorrow. Farewell, tomorrow. You know how much of myself was in what I told you today. The music of our solstice lasts, a mutiny of notes, of dissonance. Benevolent God in the belly of earth, fearless Orpheus with your golden lyre. Down, down you went into Eurydice's lyre. Do you recall how I walked into the ancient forest in the brute final days of summer? Young wind, tell me what you recommend. Filaments of falling, marked by tiny certainties of flakes and more flakes, days and minutes, reduced to the 21st century spit of innumerable toxins, benzene, cyanide, ammonia, chemical particles hurling from the sky, entering the mouth, the lungs for hours, days, weeks, months. Oh, matrimonial span, now curlicules of rat gray dust. In this goosebump fugue of evening shadows, what is this catastrophe of whispers that hit the earth and sometimes pile up? Thousands of particles, off-key flecks of cindered trees, foliage scattered, blown away, scattered, slaughtered bits, dark percussion of carbon underneath. And the sun-drenched, terrified inhabitants, where did they go? Where? Was there no watchful, soft, round eye to keep them safe? And remember the smoke writhing into shape. At first it seemed angelic, and then it didn't. And the siren's high-pitched wail never came. Over the expectant meadow, never came. Up the drive, never. And towards the house, no. And the weather was stillborn as we waited, until he left, drove through the shower of sparks and more sparks, as if we could extinguish every last one of them. Anyway, that's a long poem, isn't it? Okay, I'm still doing a little bit. This is Helen is bequeath the many embers. And my son, who reads poetry and loves Louise Glick, told me, no, you take out the word bequeathed, it doesn't work. So I said, I'm keeping it. You go write your own poetry. Scientist, no, sorry. Minute as pollen on 1,000-petaled lily, or a lone spark from the Trojan's shield, and thunder, the whir of Agamemnon's arrow, and lightning, Achates' laughter. Oh, the not so beautiful flames, taunt smoke that never drifted far. And I could not cut the adder's tongue as the serpent dove through and dove over and dove under, as it crouched to the leaves of Sharon's cave, as it dropped its destructive mantle. And I watched the wind walk up the mountain a long way up, and found the twisted ancient pine and embraced it. Oh, the billows, the mighty surge, like desire and desire of the many loves of Achilles. And so the ashes fell and fell, papyrus fragments brought back, reborn with the sound of slats, 100 shudders make. Oh, wild, disordered language of fire. I stayed under the day burned down, and then I ran ahead of myself across a field, a little wood, thought I could hold those temple walls of Tellus, loosen my lap and my arms. I was drawn back to the past, and beyond forgetfulness, back to infancy, entangled in its net, where I grieved as if the sting of salt was in my sight. Was this a prophecy, a command, or a whisper? My heart wondered, asked. Long arcade of pastures, droughty the winds, in their indestructible fury. Oh, reader, draw closer, and watch how the spools of loss roll quickly like a blazing ember that sputters and falls and falls. Forest boar, stag, minotaur, centaur. I called them in the small chance, unexpected thing. White fire of unnumbered stars erased. Did you call them down, the fates, with their 1,000 spears? Did you rush down the spiral of this tower stairs? Swerve here and there like a dart's curve. Was that you that flew from the small room of Olympus? Why take my solitude, sanctity? I waited for the cleft fruit on the summer branch, catkin on willow. I waited for every simple, unpromised miracle. But like an uninvited guest, the gods shattered the hour's floor of marble. Poor Persephone, what dark absolute claimed you? Was it some lesser anger, zealot other, or hostler lover? Come here, come near. Does the husk live on? Ardent as a seed, is my body breathing when I speak? Hereafter, does the soul's substance thin, or endure, or seek counsel? Pat a pause on forest floor, glare of eyes and fire, circle of guardians, beast. I thought they would turn and rend each other, but they didn't. They became defenseless as lambs in the summer fields beneath the oak's treasury. And the immortal ones listened to the flute note, the whistle bird note, the reed pipe that filled their brotherly eyes. Those in reborn motion, raw ghost among the rebel stones. Farewell, hedging innocence of flower crowns, soft dark of early evening doe, with sloped shoulders, last geese in the afterlight of sky. Goodbye, mist out of nowhere. Love beat of September cattails as they sway and sway in the autumn rush and heat of katydids. Nemesis, Artemis, tell me, was this myth or fiction or suspended thought? Or do I remember what I remember? Something neither forgotten nor lost. I hope I didn't read too long.
No, not at all, Leonore. Thank you so much. That was
Thank you.
it was just you had a line in there in where you said, oh husband, we had our dream, now we know the depths of hell. you took us into and through those depths today. And I was struck by the flame is talking to you and calling you my love, my bride, I am your queen. This vicious thing that the bloody flames climbing up the ridges. It truly was the depths of hell. I guess I want to say thank you for taking us there, but I'm not so glad I went there. We were in a place where you talked about the spools of loss grow quickly. It's an awful thing. And I guess, you at one point you talked in your long epic poem, really, My Troy, you talked about the dissonance between tomorrow, 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 and memories, memories, memories. It's exactly that. You said at one point, I think you're quoting your mom or your grandmother, if you wander too far from home, you become a stranger to yourself. And I have a sense that that's what you're telling us, that you're looking in the studied rubble for the proof of what was and is no more. And this dissonance that's descended on your life and that you shared with us, with this horrible queen, this flame calling you her love and her bride. I just, it was powerful. You moved your lips to speak, but not one word escaped. Well, I think that in this case, a lot of words escaped, and they took us to a really awful place. And thank you for taking us there with you. And I hope that in our being able to be there with you, we could help you lighten the burden that you're still carrying from that horrible time. So thank you, Leonore. It was wonderful. Really appreciate it.
I read it to anybody but you people. So even Kent hasn't heard me read it, though he helped me with the revision. So
well, it was truly an epic poem. It was, I don't need the Odyssey or the Iliad or the Aeneid or any of those. This was enough today for sure. And thank you so much for that. Well, I guess we can exhale now a little bit. Ayaz and Leonore, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a terrific afternoon. And this is what I talked about at the beginning of our time together here, community. We shared a little bit of community together. And I'm grateful that we were able to do that. We continue this. The magic continues. We'll do this again next month via Zoom. Sunday, September 11th, 9/11. Bob Gomez and Victoria Banyalis will be reading. And if you check our Facebook page, you'll get some more information in that regard. Or if you'd like more information, please contact Kent Leatham, our leader. He will, if he's not done it already, he will post his email address. He's done it already in the chat room. It's kent.leatham.poet@gmail.com. Very easy to remember. And thank you for being with us. This program is sponsored by the Monterey Bay Poetry Consortium and Old Capitol Books. Be sure to like us on Facebook if you haven't done that already. And please do check out our YouTube channel, on which the video for this wonderful reading will be posted. And again, a big thank you to Ayaz and Leonore for being with us, for sharing from their hearts and their souls today. It was just terrific. So that's it for today, folks. I appreciate you being with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again at our next gathering.